Hello everybody and welcome to this video. I apologize for this going out a little late. I wasn't feeling the best and I didn't want random cuts of like those noise to show up in the video, and I didn't want the integrity of the video to be compromised, especially given that this is the finals match due to my my health. But to continue on, what I decided to bring to this match was Excadrill, T-Tar, Mega Glade, Suicune, Noivern, and Aromatisse. And of course, those are Toph, Sokka, Avatar Aang, Katara, Momo, and Asami, respectively. With Toph, we brought a very simple set. There wasn't really not much to do anything fancy. Just Steelium Z with Sand Rush, Sword Stance Excadrill with EQ, Rock Slide, and Iron Head. I am speed creeped to outspeed a Scarf. No. I'm outspeed, or I will guarantee outspeed a Tapu Koko who's not timid but max speed if I'm -1 but in sand. So like if sticky webs get thrown up by Araquanid, and I have to switch in with sand and I have to set up that way, I can still outspeed Coco as long as Coco isn't timid. So that's that. And a little bit of defense is just to check a little bit different roles just to kind of help it out. It doesn't like help me for too much, but that's what I had left, and it was better to just start on defense than special defense given what my opponent had. Possibly I could switch into a move maybe a little bit better, just helped with rolls. Next though, we do have Sokka the T-Tar, and Sokka's gotten a lot of hate this season, but he has been a tried and true hero to keep Toph in the spotlight. Today, though, we had Sokka with Smooth Rock to help with Sandstorm. We really needed to maximize those turns for both Poke and for to make sure that Excadrill obviously could come in later, and I didn't have to hard switch into Excadrill extremely fast. Specifically with the Sandstream, it really helped because, for those of you who don't know, it does go behind sub. Sandstorm does go behind sub, and Solo is known to run like sub Medicham, sub Rotom with Nasty Plot, and I needed to make sure that they were taking as much chip as possible behind that sub, so to make it easier for rolls and stuff like that. And of course, just the main reason being Excadrill. But we brought Rock, Blast, and Earthquake. Those coverage moves hit everything neutral or super effectively. Mostly just to cover things like that. Mostly it did EQ just so I can hit Tapu Koko a lot better. Instead of Rock Slide, I can. It just helped with a couple rolls against that. I was really considering Pursuit instead of Earthquake, but I also wanted Earthquake for being able to touch Duraludon, because Tyranitar kind of got walled by Duraludon, and also to help it with rolls against Alolan Muck, to make sure that I can do things against that and it can't just set up. So I do have max HP, a lot of defense investments, and special defense invested as well. With this mix in defense and special defense, I come in on special Koko always. I come in on special Rotom always. Araquanid rolls are a lot better. If it's like a banded Araquanid liquidation, I can sometimes survive, and that's really useful. And with this spread, I can, before Sandterm shows that I'm Smooth Rock, I can pretend that I'm Choppleberry. I can kind of play around that, so that's another thing. And then Thunder Wave is specifically for when Medicham tries to switch in on T-Tar, I can click Thunder Wave in the chance, like maybe like he tries to predict me switching, and for example, like instead of him clicking like Drain Punch to kill me, he could possibly like click like Ice Punch, thinking I'm gonna go like Suicune, or go into my Noivern, or maybe he tries to click like Thunder Punch or something to hit Suicune or something like that, and I'll be able to take those hits, and I'll be a Thunder Wave, which would severely cripple the Medicham. Going on next, we have Mega Gallade. Nothing really special. Sword Stance, Shadow Sneak, Close Combat, Psycho Cut. Now, I do have Psycho Cut instead of Zen Headbutt, though, specifically because of accuracy. I do not want to miss with Psycho Cut. It really matters. The less power does hurt for a couple rolls, but the only rolls that it matters is if crits. It guarantees 2 KOs, everything that I need it to. And Zen Headbutt's not going to do more damage that matters, of course, not including crits. And when I'm +2, it doesn't matter. They guarantee kill all the things, like everything. Fun fact, +2 Shadow Sneak is a guaranteed, it's almost a guaranteed kill on Metacham if he's not, like if he doesn't have any bulk, but non +2 is always a 2-hit KO, which is really nice. Really nice because he cannot out priority me to get too much poke because obviously inner focus, so he can't fake out bullet punch to get extra poke in, and he always has to play around that. So yeah, that's on that. Plus, you know how I have luck, so the high crit ratio is just kind of like, you know, if I'm gonna play on DDA luck, I'm gonna play on DDA luck. Let's be real here. So next we have Katara the Suicune. I actually have a Rocky Helmet. Toxic Rest Talk set max. Like the Suicune's job is specifically to come in on Metacham, to come in on Braveries, to come in on really anything that wants to be a threat, and Suicune is just there. It's gonna make sure that nothing crazy happens. It also specifically has Toxic instead of like another coverage move, is because I can 1v1 Araquanid that way because he doesn't have a way to get rid of that really. And obviously I can't hit it with Scald really because it's not gonna do anything, and it can't burn him because Water Bubble. But this makes it to where I can also 1v1 the Araquanid, because it's most likely going to be physical, because that just hits more overall. It could be Scald, but that doesn't really matter. Next, we have a interesting Noivern set, which is Choice Scarf Noivern. This is specifically so that I can cripple Screens Coco. That's his job. I guarantee cripple Screens Coco, and it makes it to where I can, like, if he leads Screens Coco, or if I know he Screens Coco, I could switcheroo the Light Clay off of him, and now his defensive Coco is basically useless because he's only ever going to be able to set up 1 screen at a time before he has to switch out, which is really good. Plus it has defog, so if he were to set up the screens while I was out, I could switcheroo and then immediately defog the screen away. It's a really good counter to that defensive Coco set. It's also really good at catching certain sit-up sweepers. So, like, if he brought Bulk Up Bravery, or, like, Subnasty Plot Mismagius, or Subnasty Plot Rotom, or anything like that, I can guarantee just to get a quick switcheroo off, and I don't really have to worry about what's going on. Plus, switcheroo can also help for if he switches in, like Coco or Mismagius being his Z users. If I use switcheroo as they switch in and it doesn't work, I guarantee know that they're Z, which is a lot of information. It's basically Frisk. I know what their item is. I don't know which Z crystal, but I do know they're Z. So that can come in handy as well. And then finally, we do have our support Asami, the big cheeks herself, with Wish, Protect, Moonblast, and Heal Bell. Nothing really special on Aromatisse. I did originally have double Rocky Helmet, but after calcing some rolls, it's better to have leftovers. Just because with Sandstorm going off, I can't always rely on mid rolls, so I have to play it as if they're always going to hit high rolls. So leftovers is better because it mitigates the Sandstorm damage, and obviously that is always the downside of when you have Sandstorm for poke. It's not only going to hit them, it is also going to hit you, so you always have to keep that in mind. But with all that said and done, we can get into the game. So let's do that. So as you see, their lead, or not their lead, but their mons are Mega Metacham, Coco, Bravery, Araquanid, Rotom, and Mismagius, which does mean they did not bring They didn't bring the Alolan Muck, they didn't bring the Duraludon, they didn't bring the Virizion, and then they didn't bring the Piloswine. The Piloswine was the biggest thing for me, because that was another reason why Suicune was like Max and is a big switch into Piloswine as well, because that was really my only way. Piloswine did so much in this battle, and not seeing it here gave me so much confidence. I was so happy to not see a Duraludon, or to not see a Piloswine, because it took care, like, it just took Excadrill, and it forced out my Z move, which he could easily predict into, like, easily go into, like, a Araquanid and just ruin it completely. It completely walled, like, T-Tar. It did really well at, like, it could actually survive a hit from Gallade. Obviously, it killed Noivern with Ice Shard all the time, which is why I ran so much HP and defense into Noivern, so I could survive offensive Adamant Ice Shard. So I could switcheroo his Eevee off. Another reason why I switcheroo, to switcheroo his Eevee off. But he didn't bring it, so that overjoyed me completely. But the one thing I was not prepped for was Mismagius. It's another reason why I didn't put Pursuit on T-Tar, because that would have been able to kill Mismagius so early on. I actually did not know what he was. With Mismagius showing up, I considered it to be Z. I considered it to be Nasty Plot Sub. I considered it to be... that's about it. I didn't really think of anyone else it could be, so I kind of just played on the assumption. Rotom, Araquanid, Coco, and Medicham I played for. Bravery was like a toss-up. Like, I assumed it was going to come. I assumed, like, Bulk Up Bravery actually does 1v1 Excadrill. If he gets the Bulk Up before I switch in. So that is something I had to keep in mind. And I also had to keep in mind the fact that, like, Scarf, Superpower, or Close Combat, either one, because he has both. I had to be careful of those as well. So yeah. One thing I did notice on his team, though, was that his leads were a little bit rough, because there wasn't really a lot he wanted to lead with. Like, Coco, Bravery, and maybe Araquanid were his leads. So I was debating hard between Tyranitar and Noivern. Because Noivern would help me, like, Frisk immediately, and if he led Screens Coco, I can immediately cripple that, which would have been amazing. It also told me if he leads something, if he led with a Scarfer. It also told me, like, what kind of set of Araquanid it was, if he led with Araquanid. And if he also led something crazy, like maybe Choice Scarf Mismagius with Trick or something, I could avoid that, which was amazing. So what I ended up doing, as you can see here, I did end up leading the Noivern. So immediately, as you can see here, the Choice Scarf was Frisk from Bravery. That was amazing. That immediately told me that Bravery was Choice Scarf. Immediately told me that Bulk Up set was not coming. That also mean that Excadrill did 1v1 Bravery. It also mean that Bravery was not Heavy Duty Boots, which meant my Stealth Rocks on T-Tar was even more substantial, because that meant Bravery would be less and less useful as the game went on. So if I remember correctly here, yeah, I immediately switched out to Suicune because I wanted to get more chip on the Rocky Helmet. Now, he straight out went Mismagius, right? And that scared the fuck out of me. So, like, he got some Chicken Bravery, which was great, because he actually took more chip than I did on Suicune, which was great. What ended up happening, though, is since he went out to Mismagius immediately, I started looking through the move pulls of Mismagius, and I was like, alright, I know Mismagius has Perish Song, but doesn't have, like, Mean Look or some way to trap me, and it does. So I didn't want him to kill Katara, because Katara was so useful in this fight. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, what mon here would be the best to throw to this Mismagius, right? Because if he mean looked Parasonged, I needed to do something, and then I realized, I was like, oh wait, if he also gets a free sub here if he's not, because maybe he goes into Mismagius on Suicune, because maybe he's like Calm Mind or something, and Suicune's not gonna be able to beat that, especially since Rocky Helmet was revealed. So, what I thought was, I'm going to bluff Pursuit on T-Tar. So, I went to T-Tar, and I'm bluffing Pursuit, right? So, if he stays in, so he goes for Energy Ball, right? and that did a decent amount of damage, but it wasn't. It was a 3-co at best, right? Which I knew. And let me continue real quick. So this also showed that this was Life Orb Mismagius, which told me this wasn't a Perish trapping set. This was offensive Mismagius, right? So with T-Tar out right here, what I realized was that that I basically trapped this Mismagius to suicide itself, because because no matter what, if I clicked Pursuit here, it's gonna hurt. Right? So he can't switch, so he's probably just going to click Energy Bolt again and just try to get as much damage off as possible. So I also want to hit it as much as well. So he actually reveals Will-O-Wisp, which does end up becoming a play, because that means this Rock Blast doesn't kill it anymore, because those 3 hits, if I want to show you real quick what those 3 hits would have done, to this Mismagius, which I calced was, there was no bulk involved. Yeah, so I did 59 to 72 with 3 hits, and before it took like 30. It took like 30, so it was roughly like 70-ish. So high roll, I could have killed that thing. And with Sandstorm applying and Life Orb applying, it would have just died. It wouldn't have been able to do any more than what it did right here. Which, immediately, I was like, oh, that's kind of unfortunate. But, like, things happen. And, but what this does mean is that because of the fact of I can still Pursuit Trap it, it's still trying to kill itself, right? It's not going to be able to really come in. It's not going to be able to do anything. And I know for a fact I can take 1 more Energy Ball, because it did 37. And even plus burn damage, I will survive 1 more. So my next attack here is, you know what? I need to set up rocks immediately, because rocks were so useful for against his team, against Arachnid, against Rotom, and Bravery. Also helped with rolls against Medicham and Coco. The biggest thing, though, I wanted to make sure that Rotom Heat was heavy-duty boots. Arachnid probably was heavy-duty boots, and I already knew Bravery wasn't, which is another reason why I needed rocks, is I needed this thing, like, down fast. Now, with him clicking Destiny Bond here, he did think I was going to click Pursuit, or just going to click Rock Blast again, or he wanted me to hit him, right? So him going Destiny Bond, I'm just like, oh, you want me to kill you. Well, unfortunately for you, that is not what I'm going to do. So I decided at 50% health, I wanted to switch. So I went to Osami, right? So let me show you this. So I went to Asami, which is my heal wish passer, right? I could wish on this Magius. It's going to keep dying because Sandstorm's going to keep ticking it. Life Orb's going to keep ticking it. It's going to die, and there's nothing you can do about it. With Asami, I can heal myself. I can heal the burn on T-Tar. I could switch to T-Tar later, and I was going to be in a really, really good spot. Shadow Ball did 44% to me, right? 44%. I checked the calcs. This was a low to mid roll. And I did find out this was modest. Based off what it did to T-Tar, this was modest Life Orb. I was checking the roll, and the highest roll it could do was like 51. And plus Sandstorm, stuff like that, I could technically live that. So I decided to test my luck, right? I was like, I've got leftovers. I will survive this. Unless he crits. Which he did. That was the one thing that I needed him not to do, because I guarantee lived it, because leftovers brought me back up, and he could not kill me high roll regardless. Crit was the only thing that could kill me. This sucked for me. This was like one of the worst things that could have possibly happened to me, because that means that T-Tar is now permanently at 50% health or below. That also meant that I'm going to have to use Rest more on Katara. It just meant a lot of different things. So Aromatisse dying here was fucking sucks. Obviously, though, this Mismagius is just dead meat now. But this Mismagius got a lot of usage out of it. It burned and took T-Tar to 50% health, and it got a kill, which it shouldn't have gotten. So what I do is I go into Gallade because I can just Shadow Sneak, and I don't want to risk anything missing because I could have gone Hurricane on Noivern, and this was and I didn't want to go Excadrill because I didn't want to be in a bad position. Gallade was what's going to put me in the best position overall, so I used Gallade. Just Shadow Sneaked, got rid of it. Now rocks are still up, which is great. because his best switch in here is Bravery, and it's going to take rock damage. So what he does is he switches in Bravery. Takes rock damage. I immediately go into Suicune, and the reason why I went Suicune here is because, one, I always go Suicune on the Bravery here. Two, is because I could have stayed in with Gallade and baited the U-turn out, and immediately gotten free chip, more than 50% chip on whatever he switched in. Psycho Cut guaranteed did more than 50% to every one of his mons left. So, and it killed Bravery itself, if, it did something else. So, I switched into Suicune, instead of doing that risky play, because he could have clicked Brave Bird, which he ended up doing. And since he clicked the Brave Bird, right, he's taking Brave Bird damage, Rocky Helmet damage, and Sandstorm damage. Now he's at the point where he dies if he switches back in. So, he kills himself. And I immediately rest. I show my rest. Sandstorm ends. Rotom comes out. So, obviously, since Sandstorm ended, that means I can safely bring in T-Tar, because I can't bring in T-Tar if Sand is still up in the later terms, because if T-Tar dies, that means I lose Sand, and that's not good. So, I can only bring T-Tar in when Sand is gone, depending on when the Sand turn is. Like, if it's, only, 1 or 2 turns gone, I can bring in T-Tar. But, if it's, 6 or 7, I have to wait. I have to, worst case scenario, I have to sack something and then bring in T-Tar. Because Excadrill and Gallade are my win cons. Period. No question. So, I go into T-Tar onto the Rotom. He's going to defog, obviously, right? So, he actually Volt Switches out here, which is great, because I set my rocks back up, because I need those rocks fucking up. And I know this Rotom couldn't do anything to me. So, him Volt Switching there was amazing. So I got my rocks up, but this means he got a free switch into Medicham, which I knew he was going to do. Medicham switching into Cycles Great. However, because I didn't have Asami anymore, T-Tar isn't going to safely take on a Medicham. And I wasn't going to risk him just trying to kill me. So I'm going to go right back out to Katara, which is what that Rocky Helmet is for. Immediately go into Suicune. And Medicham actually clicks Rock Slide, which I knew he would have had because Moltres. Moltres was a big problem for Medicham, because Medicham needed to make sure not to get burned by Flame Body. So Rock Slide was the best option. He also knew that I was Rocky Helmet on Katara, so Rock Slide was the only way to not take unnecessary damage. However, because I'm max, it only does 22%. Slightly more because of Sandstorm. Excuse me. However, he actually switches here, which is actually smart by him, because he doesn't want to risk, because if I'm rest, I'm most likely Sleep Talk. Scald's one of my moves, and then he doesn't know my last move, right? So he switches out to Rotom here to get the free defog switch in, right? And I obviously use Sleep Talk, right? And I get lucky and I get the Toxic. Now, Scald or Toxic would have been great. As long as I didn't get rest, I was Gucci. Getting Toxic here was interesting, though, because it meant that he guaranteed to get a defog here. However, I looked at this play and I was like, okay, the mons that he has left, if I bring out Excadrill right now, I get a free kill. Because based on how much Volt Switch did to T-Tar earlier, I was able to calculate that this was offensive Rotom, which means he was no bulk. He had to have the speed because he was outspeeding the things that he was outspeeding. And he was definitely max special attack. I already knew he was 70 boots as well, so I guessed his moveset was probably Defog, Volt Switch, Overheat, and then probably his last move was either Thunderbolt or possibly Will-O-Wisp, something like that. So I risked him clicking Will-O-Wisp on the Switch, and or Overheat on the Switch, and I just went straight T-Tar, because I'm like, he's going to defog here. And he actually Thunderbolts, which I was really surprised. I'm surprised it didn't defog here. Because those rocks are going to keep doing damage to these. That means Araquanid can't really switch in that often, unless it's heavy-duty boots. Coco doesn't really want to take unnecessary poke. Medicham definitely does not want to take unnecessary poke. So we Thunderbolts here. And you can see in chat, actually, well, you can't see in chat, but he actually typed in chat that he originally clicked Overheat, which would have killed me. Just straight up, I would have died, and he would have been in the he would have been in an amazing spot. I don't know what would happen personally if he killed me there, but he didn't, so I'm glad. So he clicks Thunderbolt, I go into Execute Drill, and now I claim a kill. Something's going to die because basically what happens is I click Rock Slide here, and as long as I hit the move, regardless of what he switches in, I either kill it or kill it the turn afterwards. Oh, excuse me. So in that case, I click Rock Slide, it hits, and it kills the Rotom. So next he goes into Arachnid, right? And I could click Rock Slide here. However, I was doing some calcs, and if he was max, he survived, right? Because only at +2 do I kill it, guaranteed, if he's max. And I can't just set up a Sword Stance right now, so I have to switch. So I ended up switching to Noivern, and the reason why I switched up to Noivern is, one, I really wanted to know what item this spawn had, because I needed to know if this was offensive Arachnid, right? Because I was scared of, like, Choice Band Arachnid, because that, like, fucking put in work other than, like, Suicune. But even Suicune, like, it was at 65. Like, it couldn't really take Banded Arachnid, something like that, right? So I brought in Noivern. I knew anything it could hit me with. Since I was more defensive Noivern, I could take it. And I found out he's Charty Berry, which I was like, okay. So I did some calcs, and +2 Rock Slide does not kill if he's max. And I'm just like, fuck. So I had to start playing around that, right? So with Noivern, that means I can Hurricane things, which means he has to come in on rocks again, which means that he'll be put around 50% health, which at that is a roll at +2 Rock Slide. So I'm like, okay, I'd prefer a roll than not existent, right? So I go into Noivern. He clicks Liquidation, and that does a lot of damage. He actually gets the defensive drop, which sucked balls. But it didn't really matter in the end because I still lived another one. With this roll, it told me that he was definitely offensive Arachnid, to a degree, which meant that the roll on Rock Slide was a little bit better, but it's still not confirmed. I could click Hurricane here, but what I really wanted is I wanted to get rid of that Charty Berry. In my mind, I'm like, all right, this Charty Berry needs to go to guarantee Exeggutor wins this game. And I have 2 Sandstorm turn lefts, so anything I can do. Because even if he switches here, I get like a switcheroo on, because he wouldn't go Medicham here. He'd probably go Koko if he's switching out, right? So I'm thinking, okay, I can switch, and I can either find out if Koko's Z, or I can find out if Koko is, like what other set it is. So he ends up switching to Koko, and I try to switcheroo. And you find out it fails, which immediately tells me that Koko is Z, which is both good and bad. Good news is that means I know what item is. Bad news is that means it can kill things. So in my mind, Sandstorm has 1 more turn left. So, oh, actually no. Sandstorm just ended, right? So this was actually perfect for me. Sandstorm literally just ended, which means that I could very, very freely sack T-Tar. I get Sandbag up, and I play endgame now. Because at these health bars, Exeggutor can kill. Because basically what this means is that Exeggutor can kill things, and whenever it doesn't kill, Gallade can sweep, or Gallade can clean up. So I went to T-Tar, and I got my kill, or I sacked my T-Tar to get Sandbag up, and he goes back into Arachnid. Now the thing with Arachnid is that this health, he should die, but it's still a roll. So in my head, I'm thinking, okay, what if I just go Gallade? Because I'm looking at the calcs, right? And I guarantee kill everything, either 1 hit or 2 hit, right? I guarantee kill Arachnid with Psycho Cut, right? And Koko dies to Exeggutor, so I don't care what damage it does to it. Medicham dies to Psycho Cut into Shadow Sneak, guaranteed. So I went for it. So I click Psycho Cut, and I actually get a crit on Arachnid, which did not matter in the slightest. It was dead. Even if it was max, if it was max, like bold or something, which I knew it wasn't from earlier calcs, because of how much damage it was doing. It couldn't do that much. But if he was max, then technically that mattered, but barely, because 38 was like a super min roll. I think minist roll was like 37 something like that. I don't remember. But so I killed it with that, and this puts me in an amazing position, because basically I'm saying I win. right? Because Coco and Medicham, the last one's alive. Excadrill still has 6 full turns of Sandstorm to come in and sweep kills, and it guarantees kills both of them. So I keep Gallade out because there's no point of switching right now. Like I'll let it use use its Z or whatever. He actually switches. I don't know why he switched again. I guess he switched again thinking I was gonna go Excadrill. I don't really know what his plan was here. Personally, I would have just hit something. But he did. We knew he was Z, so I don't know what his Z was. So I hit with a Psycho Cut, and I do crit. Now, does this matter? No. Because Psycho Cut into Shadow Sneak, as we said before, guarantee kills. However, it could seem as if it mattered, just because, like, he didn't get a turn to quote-unquote do something. But whatever he did, it didn't matter. I guess the most he could have been doing is keep switching back and forth to waste Sandstorm turns, which I guess would have worked, kind of, but he wouldn't have gotten enough turns because I would have been guaranteed at least 2 more turns whenever Gallade died, and Gallade could just 1v1 them anyway, so it didn't matter. He had to kill Gallade to even have a chance to get into Excadrill. So, personally, I don't agree with this switch, and I think he should have just hit me with Coco, but obviously I don't know his set on Coco, so I kill with that kill, and Gallade just gets another kill, and Coco comes out, and you see the Brave Bird being used, so I knew, like, okay, this was offensive Coco. It took so much recall from it. Excadrill comes in and cleans up the final kill of the season. And with this, because me and Solo agreed to be best of 1 where everyone else is doing best of 3, we agreed that we both hate best of 3s and we prefer best of 1s. This meant that this means I win. So with this in conclusion, I have won UTA Season 5 Legendary Division. And at first, like, it didn't really hit me because I was like, oh yeah, I won. Cool. But then I'm like, all right, this season was a mission for me, basically. This season was, if I try for every single battle, the hardest that I possibly can I win? And I guess the answer to that question was yes. And it just surprised me, honestly. Once again, the times that I've won UTA Championship, I had Excadrill and Suicune. Excadrill and Suicune are the only 2 members of my team that has been repeats of my seasons. The first season I did not have T-Tar, I had Powdon, and I obviously had different everything else. Yeah, it was nice. I was really happy with the season, and overall, putting my all was a lot of work. It was a lot of work, but it was a lot of fun. And recording again, while it was stressful to make sure that everything looked nice and that I did everything right, it was fun. And I think I'm going to do it again. I think I'm going to start recording more. I think I'm going to do more things. If you want to stay on the channel, thank you very much. What next is going to happen is, if you want to check out my streams, me and Twee are finishing up our Pokemon Platinum Cage Lock. We're about to challenge the Elite Four. That's going to be happening sometime, hopefully this week. And I'm going to be coming out with a single Nuzlocke soon. And then, of course, UTA Season 6 when that happens very soon. I will be recording for that as well. This is my my thing for recording for that as well. Thank you all for watching. Congratulations, Rabbit, for guessing correctly that this was going to be my season. However, I said it first that I was going to try to win this season, or every season I try to win, but like I never put my all into every single battle. This season I did, and recording I think made it even more, because since I was actually showing everyone my thought processes, I actually got to think things through more, and I think that's why I won personally. But yeah, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time.